Hello students, welcome to the Java class. In this video, we will be seeing what is thread synchronization. So to understand this concept, I will tell you one small story. Assume that today is Sunday. I went to a hotel and I ordered a biryani. So assume this is the biryani I ordered. Next, the biryani was too spicy to eat. So I felt very uncomfortable to eat this biryani. So what I did is, I kept the biryani plate near the roadside so that some dog can come and eat this biryani. So after some time, one dog came. So assume this is the dog. So this dog felt very happy by looking at the biryani plate. You know that when we feel like eating biryani, we can eat biryani at any time or any day. But this is not the case with respect to dog. So dog, they will get biryani very rarely. So this dog felt very happy, and this dog started to think from which side to start for eating this biryani. So after some time, another dog came. So you know that how many biryani plates are there? Only one biryani plate. How many dogs are there? Two dogs. So what will happen? The fighting will happen between the dogs. So these two dogs started to fight each other to eat the biryani. So after some time another dog came. So how many biryani plate is there? Only one biryani plate. How many dogs are there? Three dogs. So what will happen? Fight is going to increase. So each dog will be going to fight with each other. So after some time another dog came. So another dog, instead of fighting, what this dog did was, this dog started to eat biryani from this side. So then all these three dogs, they stopped fighting and they saw this dog eating the biryani, and what they did is, this dog pulled the biryani plate on this side, and this dog pulled the biryani plate from this side, and this dog pulled the biryani plate from this side, and this dog pulled the biryani plate from this side. So now what happened was, the complete biryani dropped down on the ground, and the complete biryani got wasted. So this type of problem is called as biryani inconsistency problem. So this type of problem is called as what? This type of problem is called as biryani inconsistency problem. Consistency problem. The same thing will happen with our Java object. So consider this scenario. Assume that instead of biryani plate, assume this is our Java object. Next, instead of dogs, assume that these are our threads. So there are T1, T2, T3, T4 up to Tn threads and one Java object. Okay. So what is happening here? Here multiple threads. So multiple threads are trying to operate on a same Java object. Okay. Assume that this T1 is performing some add operation. Next, T2 is performing some remove operation. T4 is performing some delete operation, and T4 is performing replace operation. So what is happening here? The different threads are trying to perform different operations on the same Java object. So what will happen in this case? In this case, we will get a data inconsistency problem. In this case, we will get data inconsistency problem. So since different threads are trying to perform different operations on a same data, we will get data inconsistency problem. Now can you think about a real-time example for data inconsistency problem? A real-time example for data inconsistency problem. Can you think? Assume that this is a online ticket booking system. So assume this system is used to book a ticket for a buses. Assume that this is a bus, and these are 4 empty slots where we can register our tickets. So assume that this customer is trying to book 3 tickets, and this customer is trying to book 2 tickets. So what is happening? Both the requests are coming together. Both the requests are coming simultaneously. So what will happen when the 2 requests are coming simultaneously and it is being processed by the same Java object? We will get a data inconsistency problem. Okay, now can you think about another example for data inconsistency problem? Another real-time example for data inconsistency problem. Okay, assume that this is a joint account. In this account, they are having account balance 10,000 rupees. Okay, he is the husband and she is the wife. So what husband is doing is trying to pay credit card bill through online and the bill amount is 9,000 rupees. So what wife is doing is she is trying to pay her shopping bill and our bill amount is 7,000 rupees. So what is happening here? The two requests are trying to operate on a same account object. The two requests are trying to operate on a same account object. So what will happen? When the two requests are trying to operate on a same account object, we will get data inconsistency problem. So in this case, we are going to get data inconsistency problem. How we can overcome data inconsistency problem? How we can overcome? So we can overcome data inconsistency problem by implementing thread synchronization concept. So next is how we can implement thread synchronization concept. So we can implement thread synchronization concept by using synchronized keyword. Which keyword? Synchronized. By using synchronized keyword, we can implement thread synchronization. So what is this synchronized? It is a modifier in Java. So like public, private and protected, synchronized is also a modifier. So it is a modifier in Java. Next. So for which components we can apply these modifiers? So this modifier is applicable only for methods and blocks. So synchronized is a modifier in Java, applicable only for methods and blocks. Next, it is not applicable for classes and variables. So synchronized is a modifier in Java, applicable only for methods and blocks. We can have only synchronized methods and we can have only synchronized blocks, but we cannot have a synchronized classes or we cannot have a synchronized variables. So synchronized is a modifier in Java. It is applicable only for methods and blocks, but not for classes and variables. So using this synchronized keyword, we can overcome data inconsistency problem. First, we are going to see what is synchronized methods. So to explain what is synchronized methods, so we will go back to our biryani example. Okay, this was our biryani. So on this biryani object, we can perform which operation? We can perform eat operation, right? So we can perform eat operation on this biryani object. Okay. At a given point of time, how many dogs can come and eat this biryani? Any number of dogs can come and eat this biryani. So what will happen? If multiple dogs can come and eat this biryani, we will get biryani inconsistency problem or data inconsistency problem. So how we can overcome the data inconsistency problem? So we can overcome data inconsistency problem by using which keyword? By using synchronized keyword. And you know that synchronized keyword is applicable only for methods and blocks. So here there is a method called eat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make this method as synchronized method. So what happens when I make the method as a synchronized method? So when I make a method as a synchronized method, at any given point of time on a given object, only one thread is allowed to execute this method. Okay. When I make a method as synchronized method, at any given point of time on the given object, only one thread is allowed to execute this method. So at a given point of time, how many dogs can come and eat the biryani now? On the given point of time, only one dog can come and eat this biryani. So is there any chance of getting a biryani inconsistency problem? There is no chance of getting biryani inconsistency problem, because on a given biryani object, we can perform only one eat operation by only one thread. There is no chance of multiple dogs and come and executing this eat method. Okay. The same concept can be applied even for our Java objects. Okay, assume that this is a Java objects and this T1, T2, T3 up to Tn, this represents the threads, and assume that this Java object has only one method, which is that method M1 method. Now T1 thread came first. Assume T1 want to execute M1 method. So now T1 will start executing M1. After some time T2 came. T2 also want to execute M1 method. Now T2 will also start executing M1. After some time T3 came. T3 also want to execute M1 method, and T3 will also start executing M1 method. Now at a given point of time, how many threads are executing M1 methods? There are 3 threads which are executing M1 method. So multiple threads are trying to execute on a same Java object. So what will happen? We will get a data inconsistency problem. So how to avoid data inconsistency problem? By using synchronize keyword. So instead of declaring this method as a normal method, we should declare this method as what kind of method? We should declare this method as a synchronized method. So instead of normal M1, I will declare it as synchronized M1. M1. Okay. So now what will happen? So assume now first T1 came. First T1 thread came. T1 thread wants to execute the synchronized M1 method. So now what will happen? Is there any other thread which are executing M1 method? No. There are no threads which are executing this M1 method. Now the T1 can happily execute this synchronized M1 method. So T1 will get the chance to execute this synchronized M1 method. Next. After some time T2 came. T2 want to execute M1 method. So now who is executing M1 method? T1. Now can the T2 execute this M1 method? No, it can't execute M1 method. Why? Because this M1 method is already being executed by T1. Once after the T1 completes its execution, then only T2 can complete its execution. So now what T2 has to do? T2 has to wait. So T2 has to wait until T1 exits. T1 executes this M1 method. Now after some time T3 came. T3 also want to execute M1 method. Now what T3 has to do? Even T3 has to wait until T1 completes its execution of M1 method. So in this example, is there any chance of getting data inconsistency problem? No, there is no chance of getting data inconsistency problem. Why? Because at any given point of time, only one thread is allowed to execute a synchronized method on a given object. That is, on a given object, only one thread is allowed to execute a synchronized method. So what is synchronized? Synchronized is a modifier in Java which is applicable only for methods and blocks. Synchronized cannot be applicable for classes and variables. Next, if a multiple threads are trying to operate on a same Java objects, so there might be a chance of getting what? Data inconsistency problem. This data inconsistency problem can be resolved using what? It can be resolved using synchronized methods. Next, what happens if a method is declared as synchronized? If a method is declared as synchronized, at any given point of time, only one thread is allowed to execute that method on a given object. The remaining thread has to wait. So what happens by doing this? By doing this, we can resolve data inconsistency problem. The main advantages of using synchronized keyword is we can avoid data inconsistency problem. Now there is also a disadvantage with respect to the synchronized keyword. So what is the main disadvantage that is associated with the synchronized keyword? So what is happening now? Assume this T1 is executing. While T1 is executing, what about the remaining threads? The remaining thread should wait to get its chance. So assume there are 10,000 threads. So now what this 10,000 threads should do? These 10,000 threads should wait until the other threads are executing this synchronized methods. So what will happen? So this will cause us to increase the waiting time of a threads. Though this will increase the waiting time of a threads and it will reduce the performance of the application. So synchronized keyword will increase the waiting time of a thread and it will reduce the performance of a system. This is the main disadvantage with respect to the synchronized keyword. So what is the main advantage? The main advantage is it resolves the data inconsistency problem. The main disadvantage is it increases the waiting time of a thread and reduces the performance of a application. Now we should see how the synchronized concept is implemented internally. So internally, the synchronized concept is implemented by using lock concept. To explain this, I will take an example of telephone. So assume this is the telephone booth. This is the telephone booth and this telephone booth has got a lock, is the owner of the telephone booth and is the customer of the telephone booth. Now this customer will ask the owner to make a call. So what the owner will do? Owner will hand over this lock to the customer one. Now this customer can make use of this lock to make a phone call. So now he can make use of the lock to make a phone call because he has the lock. Assume that now the second customer will come. Is the second customer, customer 2. Okay. Now the second customer will ask the owner to use a telephone. Now what the owner will tell? The owner will tell that currently the lock is with the first customer. Only when the first customer releases the lock, you can acquire the lock and you can make a call, he will tell. So until then, what the second customer should do? The second customer should wait. The second customer should wait until first customer releases the lock. The same concept can be applicable even for our Java object. Assume that this is our Java object and the object name is X. Every object in Java will be having a unique lock. For this X object, we have a unique lock L of X. L of X means lock of X. Assume that this Java object has a synchronized method M1. Okay. This Java object has a synchronized method M1. Assume now the first thread T1 comes. So T1 is the first thread and this T1 has to execute a synchronized method. You know that to execute a synchronized method, what we require? We require a lock of that object. Since no thread is using the lock of this object, so T1 will get a lock of this object. So T1 will get L of X. To execute a synchronized method, we require a lock of an object. Since no thread is using this object, now T1 has got a lock of this object. Now T1 can execute this synchronized method. Now T1 can execute this synchronized method. Assume that after some times T2 came. T2 thread came. And T2 thread also wants to execute this synchronized method. To execute synchronized method, what is required? To execute synchronized method, we require a lock of this object. Now currently, who has the lock of this object? Currently, the lock is with T1 thread. So what the T2 thread should do? T2 has to wait until T1 releases the lock. So now T2 has to wait until T1 releases the lock. So that is, whenever a thread wants to execute a synchronized method, a thread has to acquire a lock of that object. Only after acquiring a lock of an object, the thread can execute a synchronized method. If any other thread wants to execute synchronized method, if the lock is being used by some other thread, then the thread has to wait until a current executing thread releases the lock. So that is, internally the synchronized concept is implemented by using which concept? It is implemented by using lock concept. Next, every object in Java is having a unique lock, that is this L of X. Next, whenever we are using a synchronized keyword, then only this lock concept will come into the picture. Okay, only when we are using the synchronized keyword, then only the lock concept will come into the picture. Otherwise, there is no concept of locking. Next, if a thread wants to execute a synchronized method on a given object, first it has to get what? It has to get a lock of that object. Next, once the thread has got a lock, then only it is allowed to execute a synchronized method on that object. Next, once the thread has executed the method, then only it will releases the lock. So next, acquiring and releasing of the lock is automatically taken care by JVM and programmer is not responsible for this activity. Now let us see an example for synchronized method. So consider this. So this is a class X and within this class we have a synchronized method M1, synchronized method M2 and a normal method M3. There are two synchronized method M1 and M2 and a normal method M3. Consider this as a object of a class X. Okay. Now assume that first T1 thread came. T1 thread came and this T1 want to execute M1 method. So this T1 thread want to execute which method? It want to execute M1 method. M1. Next, what type of method is this M1? So this M1 is a synchronized method. To execute synchronized method, what is required? To execute synchronized method, T1 requires a lock of this object. Since T1 is the first thread and no other threads are using this object, so T1 can easily acquire a lock of this object, L of X. So now T1 got a lock of X. Now T1 can happily execute this synchronized method. Now assume that after some time T2 came. So T2 came and T2 want to execute a synchronized method, that is M1 itself. T2 want to also execute M1. Now what will happen? So since M1 is a synchronized method, T2 should get a lock of this object. So lock of this object is currently with T1. Only after T1 releases the lock, T2 will get a lock. So until then, what T2 should do? T2 should be waiting. So T2 should be waiting. It should be waiting. Okay. Assume after some times T3 came. T3 thread came. And this T3 thread want to execute M2 method. Assume that it want to execute M2. Okay. Now what will happen? T2 want to execute M2 method, not M1. Now what will happen? What type of method is M2? M2 is a synchronized method. To execute synchronized method, what is required? It requires a lock of this object. Remember, it requires a lock of this object. So who has the lock? T1 has the lock. Until T1 releases the lock, T3 should also wait. Remember this. The lock concept is applicable for object level. The lock concept is applicable for object level. The lock concept is not applicable for method level. So remember this. Okay. Now assume after some times T4 came. T4 thread came, and this T4 thread want to execute a M3 method. M3 method. So now what will happen? Can this T4 execute this M3 method on this particular object? Yes, T4 can execute M3 method. Why? Because M3 method is a non-synchronized method. To execute non-synchronized method, we doesn't require any lock. So what is the conclusion? While a thread is executing a synchronized method on a given object, the remaining threads are not allowed to execute any synchronized method on a given object. That is, if a thread is executing a synchronized method on a given object, the remaining threads are not allowed to execute any synchronized method on a given object simultaneously, whereas the remaining thread can execute a non-synchronized method on a given object simultaneously. Here T1 and T4 can execute both synchronized and non-synchronized methods simultaneously, whereas T1, T2 and T3 cannot execute a synchronized method simultaneously. That is, if a thread is executing a synchronized method on a given object, the remaining threads are not allowed to execute synchronized method on a given object simultaneously, whereas it can execute a non-synchronized method simultaneously. What is the second conclusion? The second conclusion is the lock is based on a object level and the lock is not based on a method level. Okay. Now in this example, on a given object, the T1 thread is executing a synchronized method M1 and T4 thread is executing a non-synchronized method M3 simultaneously. So on this given object, a T1 thread is executing a synchronized method M1 and T4 thread is executing a non-synchronized method M3 simultaneously. So how this is possible? So remember this, every object consists of two area. Every object consists two area, that is a synchronized area and a non-synchronized area. You can see in this diagram. Every Java object consists of two areas, that is a synchronized area and a non-synchronized area. Inside the synchronized area, we will be placing a synchronized methods, and then in this non-synchronized area, we will be placing a non-synchronized methods. So in this synchronized area, you can see here, this area can be accessed only by one thread at a time. So since this is synchronized area, only one thread is allowed to access this area, whereas the non-synchronized area, in this area can be accessed by any number of threads simultaneously. So is it clear? Every Java object will be having a two areas, that is synchronized area and a non-synchronized area. In synchronized area, only one thread is allowed to access that area, whereas in non-synchronous area, any number of threads can access this area simultaneously. So all the synchronized methods will be placed inside a synchronized area, and all the non-synchronized method will be placed inside a non-synchronized area of an object. So consider this. Consider this class X. So to create an object, what we require? To create an object, we require a class. So class is a blueprint to create an object. So assume that even the class has also got a two areas, that is synchronized area and a non-synchronized area. So what type of code we should place inside a synchronized area? The code which is performing some update operation. Those kind of code should be placed inside a synchronized area. For example, if the code is performing addition operation, that is removal of an operation, deletion operation or replace operation, these kinds of code should be placed inside a synchronized area. So what will happen inside a synchronized area? The state of an object will be changing. So we are performing some update operation. Since we are performing update operation, the state of the object will be changing inside a synchronized area. So those kind of code should be placed inside synchronized area. So inside non-synchronized area, what type of code we should place? We should place the code which performs only the read operations. So what happens when we perform read operations? Will the state get changed? No, the state of the object will not be changed inside a non-synchronized area. So to explain this, consider this example. Consider the reservation system example. So class reservation system, there are two methods, check availability and book tickets. I want to check the availability of the tickets. What type of operation I am performing there? There I am performing only read operation. Will the object state will be changed or not? The object states will not be changed. So this type of code should be placed in which area? This type of code should be placed inside a non-synchronized area. So we should place this type of code inside a non-synchronized area. So because we are performing only read operation and the state of the object will not be changed. Non-synchronized area. Next, one more method is book ticket method. So what we are doing in a book ticket, we are performing some update operations. So what happens when you perform update operations? The state of the object will be changing. So this method should be placed inside which area? This method should be placed inside a synchronized area. So what will happen in a synchronized area? In a synchronized area, the state of the objects will be changing and only one thread is allowed to execute that area. So book ticket, at a given point of time, only one thread is allowed to execute. So we should place this book ticket method inside a synchronized area. Okay. So next we will see the example for a synchronized method. Now we are going to see an example for synchronized method. So first I will create a class called display. Class display. So within this method I am going to define a wish method. So public void wish. I want to wish some person, so I will take his name, string name. Next I am going to take a for loop for int I equal to 0, I less than 10, I plus plus. Within this for loop I am going to print, that is system dot out dot print. Remember I am taking system dot out dot print, not println. So within this I am going to print good morning. Good morning. Next, after printing good morning, I want to sleep for 2 seconds. So which method we should call? Sleep method. So I will take try. So why I am taking try? Because if we call sleep method, thread dot sleep of 2000 milliseconds, that is 2 seconds. So why we are taking the try catch? If we are calling sleep method, there might be a chance of raising which exception? Interrupted exception. Interrupted exception is a checked exception. Compulsory we should handle that checked exception. Otherwise we are going to get a compile time error. So that is why we are taking sleep method inside a try catch. Catch of which exception I should catch? Interrupted exception. Interrupted exception E. So I will leave this empty. So next I'm going to create a thread. So class my thread extends. Which class I should extend? Thread class. Next, within this thread class, I should call wish method. So what type of method is wish method? Wish method is a instance method, right? Wish method is an instance method. To call instance method, what we should require? We should require a object of that class. So I'm going to create display D. First I'm going to create a reference. Okay, display D. Next, what we want? We want a name of a person. So string name. Okay. Next, I'm going to create a constructor of this class. So what should be the constructor name? My thread. My thread of. Next, within this constructor, I'm going to take a display object and also a name of a person. So display object means display D, comma, name of a person. So string name. So here I should initialize those two things. So how to initialize? This dot D is equal to D. Next, this dot name is equal to name. Next, if it is a class, if it is a thread, compulsory we should override which method? Compulsory we should override run method. So public void run. Next, within this run method, I will call a wish method. How to call? D dot wish of name. Okay. Next I'm going to create another class synchronized demo. Synchronized demo. So within this class, I'm going to create a main method. So public static void main string array args. So within this, first I should create a display object. So display D is equal to new display. Next I will create a my thread object. My thread T1 is equal to new my thread of what I should pass for the constructor. For the constructor I should pass an object reference of display and a name of a person. So object reference means D, comma, I will pass a name of a person as Dhoni. Next I will start the thread. So how to start a thread? T1 dot start. Next, okay, I will save this. I will compile the code. So Java C synchronized demo.java. Okay, code compiles fine, no errors. So what will be the output of this program? So what is the name I am passing? Dhoni. On which object? On display object. So go to display method. In display method, the name is Dhoni. So for loop is running for how many times? For loop is running for 10 times. So what it will do? First it will print good morning. Next it will sleep for 2 seconds. Next, wait, here I should print a name of a person. System dot out dot print ln name. Here I should print a name of a person. So what will be the output of the program? I am passing name as Dhoni. For loop is running for 10 times. What it will print? First it will print good morning. Next it will sleep for 2 seconds. Next it will print Dhoni. Next good morning. sleep for 2 seconds, Dhoni. Next, good morning, sleep for 2 seconds, Dhoni. So save this. So compile once again. System dot out dot println. Println spelling is wrong, so PR. Save this. Okay, close. Compile. As the code compiles fine. Clear screen. I will run the code. Java space synchronized demo. What will be the output? Good morning, 2 seconds, Dhoni for 10 times. Good morning, it will wait for 2 seconds, then Dhoni. Good morning, it will wait for 2 seconds, Dhoni. So this will be the output of this program. So in this program, there are how many threads? There is only one threads. So how many objects are there? How many object is there? Only one object. So one dog, one biryani plate. Do we require synchronization? No, synchronization is not required. One dog, one biryani plate. Synchronization is not required. If I create two dogs and one biryani plate, yes, at that time synchronization is required. So now what I'm going to do is, just a minute, colon space, okay, to print in a neat format. So I will create one more thread. My thread T2 is equal to new my thread. So I should pass the objects. So display object, comma, I should pass the name. Assume the name is Yuvraj. Save. So I should start a T2 thread. How to start a T2 thread? T2 dot start. Save this. So how many Java object is there? Only one Java object is there. How many threads are there? Two threads are there. So two threads are trying to perform some operations on a same Java object. So what will happen? Data inconsistency problem will happen. So what will be the output? The output will be irregular output. So we can't predict the output. The output will be irregular output. So save this. So I will compile Java C synchronized demo.java. Yes, clear screen. I will run the program Java space synchronized demo. So what happens when I run this program? So when I run this program, I will get a irregular output. Why I will get a irregular output? Because two threads are trying to operate on a same Java object. Then we are going to get a data inconsistency problem and we are going to get a irregular output. You can see the output. Good morning, Dhoni. Good morning, Yuvraj. So we are getting an irregular output. You can see good morning, Dhoni, Yuvraj. Good morning, Yuvraj, Dhoni, Yuvraj. See, we are getting a irregular outputs. So why we are getting irregular output? Because two threads are trying to operate on a same Java objects. So here you can see there are two threads, T1 and T2. There are two threads are trying to operate on a same Java object. So which is the Java object? The Java object is D object. Okay. On the D object, the two threads are trying to perform some operations. So that is why we are getting a data inconsistency problem. So how to overcome the data inconsistency problem? We can overcome the data inconsistency problem by declaring a method as synchronized. So which method we should declare as synchronized? We should declare wish method as synchronized because the two threads are trying to call this method on a same Java object. So I will make this method as synchronized method. Public synchronized. So now what will happen when I make a method as a synchronized? At a time only one thread is allowed to execute this method. Either Dhoni thread will be executing or Yuvraj thread will be allowed to execute. So save this. So I will compile the program Java C synchronized demo.java. This code compiles fine. Clear screen. Java synchronized demo. Now, so when I run this program, what will be the output? The output will be either the Dhoni will come first or Yuvraj will come first. You can see. Good morning. Okay, Dhoni came. So only after Dhoni thread has executed, Yuvraj thread will get a chance. So Dhoni. So only after Dhoni has completed its execution, then only Yuvraj will get a chance. So what is happening here? Here at a time only one thread is executing the wish method. Why? Because wish method is a synchronized method. So how the synchronized method is implemented? It is implemented using lock concept. So whichever the thread comes first, that thread will get a lock and that thread will start executing. Next, the second thread which comes later should wait until the first thread releases the lock. Only after the first thread releases the lock, the second thread will get a chance. So here Dhoni come first and Dhoni got the lock and Dhoni started its execution. So Yuvraj came later. So Yuvraj should wait until Dhoni has completed. So only after Dhoni has completed his execution, only after Dhoni has completed his batting, then only Yuvraj can come for his batting. Okay. Now I'm going to make one small change in this program. So what I'm going to do is, so okay, here there are how many display objects? There is only one display object. So now I will create two display objects. So display D1 is equal to new display. Next, display D2 is equal to new display. Next, my thread T1 is equal to new my thread of D1 dot display. My thread T2 is equal to new method of D2 comma Yuvraj. Okay, so what is happening here? Here we have two display objects, that is we are having two Java objects and we are having two separate threads. One thread is operating on D1 objects, another thread is operating on D2 objects. So in this case, is there any chance of getting data inconsistency problem? No, there is no chance of getting data inconsistency problem. So what will be the output? A regular output or irregular output? There is no chance of getting data inconsistency problem because we have two different biryani plates and we have two different dogs. Each dog is eating different biryanis. So what will happen? There is no chance of getting a data inconsistency problem. So what about the output? Are we going to get a regular output or we are going to get an irregular output? Remember, in this case, we are going to get a irregular output. So you can see we are going to get a irregular output. Java C synchronized demo dot Java. Next, Java space synchronized demo. So when I press enter, you can see the irregular output. So good morning Dhoni, good morning Yuvraj. So we are getting irregular output. So why we are getting irregular output? Any idea why we are getting irregular output? Even though the method is synchronized, you can see the method is synchronized, we are getting irregular output because two threads are executing simultaneously on two different objects. Why? Because two threads are executing simultaneously on two different objects. That is why we are getting irregular output. But there is no data inconsistency problem. There is no data inconsistency problem because when the data inconsistency problem will come, the data inconsistency problem will come only when two threads are operating on a same Java objects. But here two threads are operating on a different Java objects. Okay. So when two different threads are operating on different Java objects, so there is no need for synchronization at all. Okay. Because one biryani plate, one dog, another biryani plate, another dog. So there is no chance of getting data inconsistency problem. So there is no use of synchronized method in this case. Okay. So now I'm going to make one small change. So what is the changes? Public synchronized void wish. I'm going to make this as public static synchronized void wish. So now what will happen? The remaining code is same. Two different objects, two different threads. One thread is calling D1 object, another thread is using D2 objects. So the method is public static synchronized. So now what will happen? So what will be the output? So is there any chance of getting a data inconsistency problem? No, there is no chance of getting data inconsistency problem because the method is a synchronized method. That is, it is a synchronized method though. So what will be the output? So what was happening in a previous case? In a previous case, we had two different objects, two different threads, and the method was synchronized method. In that case, we were getting irregular output. So what is in this case? In this case, we have two different objects, two different threads, and the method is static synchronized method. So what will be the output? Regular or irregular? The output will be regular output. First, I will compile the code. You can see Java C synchronized demo.java Java space synchronized demo. So the output will be what? It will be regular output. So good morning. So who got the chance first? So Dhoni thread has got a chance. So only after Dhoni completing the execution, Yuvraj will get the chance. Why you getting a regular output in this case? In the case of static synchronized. So what is the meaning of static? What is the meaning of static method? What will happen in the case of static method? Any idea? What will happen in the case of static method? In the case of static method, a method belongs to the class level. The method does not belong to the object level. That is, one copy of the method will be created and that copy of the method will be shared among all the objects. So whenever we are calling the method, we are calling the class level method, not the object level method. Okay, so that is why we are getting a regular output in this case. So to access a class level method, so class level synchronized method, what is required? To execute class level synchronized methods, that is to execute static synchronized method. Static synchronized method is nothing but a class level synchronized method. We require class level lock. Okay, to execute a static synchronized method, we require a class level lock. Next, to execute instance synchronized method, that is the method which is there in a objects, we require a object level lock. To execute static synchronized method, we require a class level lock. To execute instance synchronized method, we require a object level lock. So there are two types of locks in Java. One is object level lock, another one is class level lock. So why class level lock is required? Class level lock is required to execute static synchronized method. So why object level lock is required? Object level lock is required to execute object, that is instance synchronized methods. So every class in Java has a unique lock which is nothing but a class level lock. If a thread want to execute a static synchronized method, then thread requires a class level lock. Once the thread got a class level lock, then it is allowed to execute any static synchronized method of that class. Okay, once the method execution completes, once the method execution has completed, automatically the thread releases the lock. So if you have any doubts, so please contact me.